Shipra, are we going to start now?
Yes, we are starting. We were just waiting for a few more to join. So very warm welcome to all of you and thank you so much for joining us today for this webinar by ISMG on seamless cloud to edge strategies, unlocking hybrid IT potential in manufacturing in partnership with Sify Technologies and Microsoft. I'm Shipra Malhotra, Managing Editor with ISMG, and I'm also your host for this session. We are delighted to have you join us for what promises to be an insightful discussion on cloud and edge modernization to maximize the digital transformation impact for manufacturing organizations. But before we dive into the key discussion points, let's take a moment to welcome our speakers and set the stage for today's conversation. From Sify Technologies, we have Anitosh Halder, Senior Vice President and Business Head, Cloud and IT Managed Services. And representing Microsoft, we have Arvind Raman, Senior Solutions Specialist for Data and AI. Welcome, Arvind and Anitosh.
Thank you so much.
Before I hand it over to them, I will just take a minute or so to set the context. As you know, today we have gathered to address a very critical aspect of maximizing the digital transformation impact in manufacturing through seamless cloud-to-edge strategies. To maximize the benefits of the digital initiatives across all the operational areas, organizations must modernize their core to include the edge environment. For manufacturing companies, especially looking to migrate their ERP to cloud platforms such as Azure, robust integration between cloud and edge operations for real-time data processing and collection is essential. And service providers play a very critical role in facilitating this seamless connectivity, enabling cloud innovations to effectively impact key operational areas such as warehousing and logistics, which primarily operate at the edge. Today, we will be covering some key aspects of edge modernization and core modernization in manufacturing, imperatives for extending innovation on cloud to the edge environment, and very importantly, choosing the right service provider. So without further ado, let's get started. But I have a few announcements to make. We encourage you to actively participate by submitting your questions in the Q&A section, which you will see at the bottom of your screen. Also, we will be having some poll questions interspersed during the sessions, and we look forward to your insights into those. So feel free to send your questions as the sessions are going on, and during the Q&A session, which will be towards the end of the webinar, we will try to take as many questions as possible. So without further ado, let's welcome Anitosh and Arvind. So Anitosh, over to you first.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, and welcome everyone. It's after a historic day of democracy. We are here to discuss something which is basically the future for manufacturing, right? So a warm welcome to everyone, and thanks for your time. I also want to introduce one of my colleagues who is very key to this initiative, Mr. Jitender Rajan. We call him G2. He heads the entire cloud engineering, and the reason for getting him into this particular discussion, because I want him to answer most of your queries, because while me and Arvind will try to present how manufacturing is looking at the cloud adoption and how it is, the trends are moving into it. But I think it's very key is that how it runs today and how it helps today. I think Jitu is the right person to discuss about. Thanks, Jitu, for joining us. Great. So I'll straight away go to the presentation, and Agrima, if you can bring it up for me. Yeah, good. While we are talking about this, the subject of cloud to edge strategies, it is basically in any manufacturing, the business basically happens in a plant, while the core runs the process and the system point of view. And today we are trying to present to you how these two can become a seamless world, and how the cloud adoption helps to take the digital transformation in both the sides of the business. And in that, how Sify and Azure is taking the steps. So that's the flow of our small presentation. So if you go to the first slide, this is what we are discussing. These are the priorities and technologies we see across any manufacturing discussions, right? I just wanted to represent it. It doesn't need to be called out because most of you uh, will agree out of this that how this discussions are going out, like supply chain, a smart supply chain or a smart shop floor along with logistics with warehouse, how that is transforming, not only bringing up the core modernization from the ERP point of view, but also getting this peripherals connected and make it automated. It's a very key discussion, and that's where the edge clouds or the compliance related data to be on the plant, this kind of discussions are happening. And these are the business trends that we see in manufacturing, which leads us to the next slide, where we are basically talking about, Agrima, go to the next slide. Yeah, we are talking about uh, what are the use cases is deriving out of it. One use case comes out, everybody is discussing about the ERP modernization or upgrade, okay, be it in SAP or any other ERPs that anybody is using. And if that is happening in the core, how that innovation in the edge is getting seamlessly connected, right? So innovation at edge is the next point. Business continuity is across. It has to be with high availability as per the compliance. Not only compliance, it is required for the business to run and grow, correct? So BCP is no more just a compliance or a tick mark, it is must. And work from anywhere is just not about employees. It is about the entire business, which is the forefront of revenue growth or forefront of the customer satisfaction, how it is getting enabled securely across. And this is the use cases where the business case of any CTO, CIO, or any personas in the CXO level, we are having a discussion in manufacturing. This is our focus. This is our focus. And you can see the blocks below is what is our services, which we do in each of these areas. And there are certain services which basically gives you value add across, like full stack observability is a one investment Sify has done recently, where across the infrastructure, application, security, or even cloud, uh, all these layers, we take the batch and stream data, and it basically runs on our AI-enabled platform, which is the FSO platform, and it gives you the exact point of view where is the issue if there is an issue, and hence it reduces your MTTR. We are basically, and we learned from our engagements as a service provider, where uh, infrastructure people telling it's a security problem, security telling it's a network problem, network telling application problem, but where exactly is the problem, it takes at least 48 hours to understand the RCA point of view and then put the right people. This is on fly. You know exactly where is the issue and what kind of resources or skill sets needs to be put in to work on the issue and get it resolved. And hence, full stack observability is a very key engagement from our side when we come as a cloud service provider or a cloud managed service provider or managed service provider, right? So in case of manufacturing, across the stacks or across these use cases, this is one of the common services we have. And obviously, we wanted to come from the below rather than block-wise services that we have along with Azure, right? We wanted to be on a managed services partner more and then solve the problems in each of these blocks that has been called out, where the benefits in each of the areas is very clearly called out. ERP modernization means digital adoption, how we can support your IoT services roadmap, support the decentralized applications point of view, bring more data on the plant and make it more consumption oriented, make it more like an edge line services or edge line cloud. Okay. How high available is your IT? We can make risk compliance, redundancy and failover, data replications, DR solutions, backup solutions, beyond that security solutions required to run your high available business, resilient business. And lastly, enabling you for your agents, dealers, or employees to work from anywhere without not thinking about the connectivity and the security. So this is the benefits what Sify is trying to drive along with our partners like Azure on each of these use cases and the trends that you see. Okay, and these are all AI ML powered and automated. The entire service management layer from the bottom of the managed services till the full stack observability, which is a AI/ML platform by its point of view, are all automated. So the service management comes with runbook automation, workbook automations in numbers. And even if you look at siloed, like if you look at SAP journey on a cloud or an Azure or edge-line services, these are all service layer. For us, everything is a service, and this service layer is absolutely automated and managed from our side. So that's the beauty that we bring, and that is the futuristic intelligence that we build with the AI/ML platforms that we have invested in our organization. So that takes to the next slide, so first we discussed about what we are hearing. Second, we discussed about the trends that we see, against that the services that we are giving. Third is the most important thing is the types of customer maturities or the organization maturity that we see. There are three types of maturities that we generally come across. One is that people who are trying to take a journey to the cloud. Somebody has taken a journey in the cloud, and somebody is modernizing while taking the journey in the cloud, right? In each of these cases, the challenges are very different. uh, and in each of these challenges, how the solutions come from our side and what is the approach that we take is very key for this particular discussion, right? So if somebody is taking a journey to cloud, app stratification becomes very important. Calling out, what should be replaced, what should be rehosted, and what should be retained very clearly, and accordingly then creating the model of cloud adoption. Will it be a commitment based, like a reserve instance, or a pay as you go point of view? Which one should be like that? What is the cloud model? I always tell people that cloud model is a delivery model. It is not a platform or a service or a consumption model. It's a delivery model. First, the architecture needs to be called out. And today's world, it has to be hybrid. It cannot be everything on public. It will be a private and public. And that's where us with Azure has done a huge investment. Like we did long time back, government community cloud with them on Azure Stack. We are now discussing with them how we can bring the AVS, the Azure VMware Stack as a private cloud, and contribute with our cloud, which is Sify Cloud Infinite, along with the Azure public cloud, and bring the entire hybrid cloud story, where we can use their dynamics for CRM on SaaS model. We can bring the infrastructure as a service, which is required for hyperscalable need. For predictability, we can bring our private cloud and end-to-end manage this with our cloud management platform. And over and above gives the FinOps, which will give you the visibility of your cost and the control and optimization that you need. And that is the most important thing that is required both for the first and the second block, because bill shock on cloud adoption, if you're not doing it right, will be there. And our job as a managed service provider is to help you to optimize or control that, so that your budget doesn't go haywire in a cloud adoption or a digital adoption. It should not become a challenge of taking you ahead rather than pulling you back, right? Modernization is a place where we are seeing a lot, especially uh, the organizations who has taken the late entrant into the cloud adoption. They straight away try to hit into there, where the containerization, DevSecOps, or the entire AI/ML led or LLM blocks that they are storing, creating data lakes from there, where they are creating data modeling, microservices point of view. It's more business outcome oriented KPIs rather than efficient IT. That is what we see in modernization. And these are the three ways we try to engage with our customers, understanding where are they today. Either if they're coming with journey to cloud, our next step should be how in the cloud we will bring to them. If somebody is on the cloud, how we can modernize them. If somebody is modernized with that, how we bring the new elements of the betterment, or the new elements of transformation for the cloud adoptions going forward. And that's where FinOps play a very important role, correct? So that brings to the last slide, this next slide. This is more a slide I just wanted you to absorb. I don't want to spend time, because this is how we engage. We don't only engage with the IT team related to the outcomes from the performance, cost predictability, resiliency, regulations, compliance, utilization rates point of view. Our always engagement is towards the strategic side of it. Each of this engagement on the left, how bringing the right outcomes, how it is helping to the revenue growth of our clients. Is it making any profitability for them or not? Is it helping them to bring their customer satisfaction or acquisition point of view? Because for manufacturing, it is very important, right? So time to market, is it helping them to bring their cost down and competitive in the market? These are the elements that we generally try to work with, and try to see that each of the tactical IT related uh, engagement is bringing the strategic outcome for our clients or not. Hence, the business case is made or not. That's the view we wanted to, and that's where our relevance with right outcomes comes into picture. And that brings to my last slide. This is what we do together. This is what we do together on the right hand side or in the left hand side, which is Microsoft and Sify. But the most important is the mid block, because when you take cloud adoption, it can be out of this six only. It can be a DC and cloud infrastructure related strategy. It can be an app migration and modernization strategy. Obviously, security will be cutting across, or you're building a digital platform around customer experience. You're bringing the innovation at core to make it efficient and with an outcome towards your business. And workplace modernization comes on the way. And if you look at the synergy in each of the areas that Microsoft brings their products, and that's where Arvind will come now to share the new areas, the way Microsoft is bringing the innovation and transformations across the adoption of the cloud, in be it a dynamic cloud or a Azure cloud or a workplace modernization cloud. It's very different. And our job is on the left. We always complement with this right security services, right architecture services, right assessment services, right industry-led solutions that we can build on Azure, and obviously comes with the core migration and managed services. So that's the power of Sify and Microsoft today. And obviously one of the largest hosters in the country, with one of the largest ICT player in the country, Sify along with Microsoft brings the core to the edge together to transform not only your IT to the intelligent layer, but automate and bring the innovations on the edge. And that's the motto today. In nutshell, if you look at Sify today from the manufacturing point of view, if you move to the next slide, which I want to keep it and move on and hand it over to Arvind. This is Sify. Very rare people will think we are just a cloud infrastructure services on the right. We are a SAP and functional technical services also. There are customers who are the largest steel companies in the world. They have shown trust on us and given the functional services to run, right? And we understood that in manufacturing, if we don't build the COE around the applications, by just taking the infrastructure managed services, we will not able to help if we don't understand the functional model. Even we are not the application managed service, it doesn't matter. So we have invested in a COE where our 150 plus customers are continuously given consulting or any functional services help or application managed services help from the 200 plus experience years that we carry in the COE. It can be in the BI mode, it can be in the BT mode, it can be in the business analysis mode, or it can be in the functional or basis support mode. Whatever way you want to engage with us, we are there. And that understanding lead us to the right hosting services that we can you can look at us from a cloud infrastructure hosting, because we have our own cloud which is SAP certified. We have public cloud players like Azure with us. Where we have won some major conglomerates across the country on migrating them to SAP on Azure, and it's one of the largest that we are supporting also. Then we can look at from a cloud managed services point of view and a migration. While that we do day in, day out, the left is the intelligence side that we carry, that we have built for the last 8 years. So this is Sify for you. On that note, I'll hand it over to Arvind, to take his slides forward. Arvind.
Sure. Thank you, Anitosh, for this quick overview of the portfolio of services, very comprehensive services. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the session. Over the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to provide a quick snapshot of Microsoft's value proposition, and more importantly, in the era of generative AI, how are manufacturing organizations leveraging generative AI for gaining their competitive advantage, and what kind of, I would say, hybrid scenarios does Microsoft provide so that you can run these applications wherever you are from. So could you go to the next slide, please, Agnima? Great. So to start off with, 18 months back, the course of history changed when ChatGPT was launched, and post that we are seeing a change across every industry, every function, every role. Over the last 18 months, many industries have gone ahead and deployed these services, while from a manufacturing perspective, I would say organizations are still in an experimental stage. An experiment wherein they are exploring how could these generative AIs, when deployed both on the cloud as well as on the premise, impact customer experience, impact your manufacturing shop floor operations, and of course, impact the overall IT productivity. So what I'm going to walk you through is a couple of scenarios in terms of how are these organizations leveraging it. We have one organization today who's leveraging it for production planning, someone else is leveraging it for inventory control, and of course, how I, as a system administrator within my landscape, can also leverage this. But before I go into this, let me kind of give you a view of the future as we see it today. Today, we have this artificial general intelligence which is able to converse with us and provide answers, essentially a language model. Potentially, 5 years down the line, we see this evolution of moving from an artificial general intelligence to an artificial capable intelligence, wherein we will be able to execute things. When I say execute, these models would be able to understand our language and carry out action. Take, for example, I have one of these applications wherein I give it, can you please come back? Yeah, just be on the slide, please. Okay, so talking about artificial capable intelligence, we are talking at a model of a solution wherein I have a model wherein I say, look, Mr. GPT, here is 5 crore rupees. I have 6 months. I want you to set up a manufacturing facility for, say, 1 million nuts and bolts. This application will have the intelligence to make a decision to buy or to look out for suppliers in the market, design the product, engage with them, sign contracts, do the payments, ensure that the shipment is done to a particular customer. This is not far. This is not fiction. We see this happening in the next 5 years. In the next 5 years, every transaction would have a generative application-based agent which has the ability to speak to each other and carry out tasks. And what is driving this agent culture? It is basically the ability to speak and get work executed based on a few prompts. The most powerful programming language was possibly Python, Java, we could name it. But today, the most powerful language is your mother tongue, is the language in which you communicate. Based on the language of communication, you could go ahead and execute any of these tasks. So what I'm going to show you in the next few slides is how by leveraging a simple communication, a simple English language, we can get multiple things executed. Next slide, please. Yeah, I'll just let you to just show this, please. So in this particular case, what I've done is I have just uploaded a particular image of a shaft, and I have asked it to, okay. Agrima, can you please give me control? I'll just kind of run this. I just need to pause for a 2 minutes. I just need to pause here. So can you please give me control? You'll have to just pause your screen. Yeah, can you please give me control? Okay, thank you. Sorry about this. Agrima, please just confirm if my screen is visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible. Yes, yes.
Right.
Yeah, to just give you a sample shot of the capabilities of artificial general intelligence, I have uploaded a simple image out here of a shaft with specific dimensions. And I've asked it in a very plain English, look at the drawing, look at the dimensions, and give me a process specification and a production plan. That's the input. There is no other training given to the tool beyond this. And based on its universal knowledge, the tool then looks at the specifications and then gives me a complete sequence of operations. I recorded this last week, and if you see out here, the ability is amazing. It not only looks at the operation, it looks at the tooling, it will also go to the level of the coolant. And in this particular case, I have given it a raw material also. I've told I have a mild steel iron bar. So look at the mild steel iron bar and define the sequence of operations. If you see in the next step, it will specifically call out the tooling that is required and the distance to which it has to go in. For example, in this particular case, it will say that my center drill has to go in by about 2 centimeters. What is going to be my revolutions per minute? What is going to be the coolant? What is going to be the viscosity of the coolant? All of this information is going to come out of the box. And this significantly helps your process engineer to quicken his task. An activity which a process engineer possibly would take a couple of I would say days, can be crunched to almost 1/5 of the time. And as I said, these tools are primarily aimed at enabling the end customer and not in terms of replacing them. Just moving ahead, I have gone ahead here and told it, look, I need to manufacture about 1 million pieces and you have 16 weeks. So why don't you help me with a high level production plan? And the tool looks at the equipments and goes ahead and gives me the high level manufacturing plan in terms of the tooling setup, in terms of the initial production, the steady state production, the peak production, and of course the dispatch and logistics. And this is all coming out of the box. In the interest of time, let me just quickly go ahead and show you the other case wherein we've asked the tool to kind of come back with an inventory plan. And all I've given is just the word inventory. The tool understands the number of units to be procured. It understands the safety stock. It understands the lead time, and it's given me a beautiful plan. So I, as a inventory planner, has this ability to look at it and say whether is this right or is it going to be something different. So what we see here is that the barrier for technology adoption is broken. I may have someone who has a 10-member small milling showroom, a small milling godown, wherein he's working to a large organization, and all of them today can leverage these capabilities of generative AI and get this competitive edge. So we see a significant improvement in productivity across all layers of your organization by leveraging these services. Moving ahead, Microsoft has gone ahead and infused these productivity tools across all our business applications and the other modern workflows applications. So be it a business analyst who works on an Excel sheet, or be it a process manager who works on SAP, or someone else who works on Word, you have the ability to leverage these tools in every area of your operation and gain the business benefits. While we have multiple services, right, from security, data platforms, AI, application innovation, I'm going to take a simple role of a system administrator and how can he leverage this? We first spoke about a process engineer. Now, from a system administrator perspective, the scenario goes like this. I am a sysadmin and I have been told by my organization that from today onwards, we are going to adopt infrastructure as a code. You need to write a Terraform script for deploying a couple of VMs. No more hard coding. It's a challenge. So let's go ahead and see how does he do it. He goes in and uses a simple natural language wherein I clearly call out, generate a Terraform configuration for deploying a VM and with Azure SQL database on Linux. That's it. Simple, plain English. And the tool will then go ahead and identify the resource group and others. It will ask you to define the variables, the public IP address, the different sequence of things that one needs to go to. So you could use it as a co-pilot wherein you get educated, you learn the process, and it becomes very easy for you to go ahead and deploy these services. No more being dependent on the DevSecOps team or any of the other teams for gaining any of these specific details. Let's go ahead and do another query out here, wherein I have gone ahead and asked the tool, like, okay, great, this is good. Now I need to understand the different, second. I need to understand the different costs that are associated in my operation. And the tool again has the ability to look into my different aspect, look into my different elements, what is contributing the highest cost, what is contributing the lowest cost, and provide me the information. So what we are now providing is the ability to self-service across all areas of your operation based on these generative tools in a simple natural language. I can speak to the tool in Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, whatever is my preferred language, and the tool will kind of come back with a particular response. Moving ahead, I think from a time perspective, I have another 7 to 8 minutes. So let's go ahead and talk about what are the use cases that we see in AI from a manufacturing perspective. Predictive maintenance, automated quality inspection, supply chain automation, worker health safety, multiple of this. I'm going to talk about 2 key use cases that we've seen with some of the customers. The first is in terms of SOP writing. SOP is a must for every business process. And today we have organizations who leverage these tools to write specific SOPs. I just provide the nature of the machine, of the equipment, what is the process, and describe it with certain samples of SOPs. And the tools will kind of write, and the generative AI services will write out detailed SOPs, which will help me to get them operational much faster. Talking about it, one of the customers built in a solution using video analytics based generative AI solutions, wherein it could monitor certain aspects like, is my forklift driving at the right speed in the right direction within the shop floor? Or is a toolman using the right tools in the right sequence, keeping safety in consideration? So I could use these tools based on visual inputs from a camera and flag off any specific abnormality or deviation from the process. Similarly, energy management. Energy management is a key aspect in today's times, particularly considering the sustainability goals. And organizations today leverage these services wherein we can optimize on energy. Every process has its optimal parameters of working, and if there is any deviation, of course, energy consumption fluctuates. So we are looking at how can I optimize leveraging these services? How can I ensure all process parameters are in line to ensure the optimal energy usage? Of course, predictive maintenance, automated quality inspection, and again, are many of these services. Moving ahead, the most important question. Look, organizations ask us, I have a manufacturing facility possibly which is about 200 kilometers away from the city. Internet is a challenge for me. I don't have consistent bandwidth. How do I leverage many of these services? So what Microsoft has done in our aim to democratize these services, we have a portfolio of tools that can be deployed across multiple services. We have these small language models. We've heard about large language models, but small language models are essentially AI solutions that can be deployed on the edge. I can deploy it on a small laptop. I can deploy it on my phone, and these consume a significant lesser amount of compute. Not only this, the training data set required to get them running is significantly small, and so is the I would say from a cost perspective, they are significantly lower. So we are today seeing organizations leverage these services across multiple aspects of their operations, be it on the edge or be it on the cloud, and gain business benefits. So by leveraging the Sify infrastructure and the Microsoft portfolio of services, you could leverage the power of generative AI in your business applications and gain significant productivity. Sure. So that's all I had to present in terms of what it will do. So just kind of summarizing the overall thing. Co-pilots are here to transform the way we work. It will significantly impact our productivity, and it is imperative on us to ensure that we leverage these services, of course, putting in the right checks and balances in place. With multimodal capabilities, wherein these models have the ability to see, hear, and speak, there is a plethora of things that we could do. In engineering drawings was always a mystery for many, but today I can upload an engineering drawing and get specifications from it. The day isn't far when I can generate engineering drawings based on many of these services. As a result of the momentum of generative AI, acceleration to the migration to the cloud will only happen, and with infusion of AI, we will see a greater adoption of these services. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to kind of share with you and provide you a sneak peek of how manufacturing will get transformed over the next few years. So yeah, over to you, Shipra. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Arvind and Anitosh, for these insightful presentations. So before we get started with the panel discussion, we have a poll question for all of you. I just request my colleague to please launch the poll question. This is to get some insights into how you are looking at modernizing the cloud, the core and the edge within your environment. So the poll question is already on your screen. How far along is your organization in modernizing its edge environments? That's the question. You have one single choice. Is it not started, planning stage, implementation stage, or fully modernized? We have a few more seconds for you to answer the poll question, and then we will get started with the panel discussion. I think, do we have enough responses? So if we have enough responses, then we can close the poll.
We'll wait few more seconds, Shipra.
Okay. So anyone, if you're having any technical glitch in terms of not being able to see the poll question, then just let us know.
We are ending the poll now.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for all those of you who have answered the poll question. And I was noticing that as we were going through the presentations, there were a lot of questions that came in both in the Q&A section and in the chat box. And I'll try to take as many as possible during the Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. I'm not sure if Arvind and Anitosh, if you got a chance to see the poll results, it came on my screen, but then it just...
I could see, definitely, yes.
Okay, so I will just ask you to keep that in mind when we go into the panel discussion and see those insights that you got from the poll, if that was helpful in answering some of the questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so without further ado, let me now welcome our esteemed panelists. And in this discussion, we will be talking about helping manufacturing organizations unleash the full potential of their digital transformation efforts through seamless cloud-to-edge strategies. We had Arvind and Anitosh touch upon certain aspects of this. To talk more in detail and to understand the ground reality from the practitioners themselves, we have this panel discussion, and please join me in welcoming our distinguished panelists. Mr. Kausar Khan, who is the Vice President Technology at Maruti Suzuki India Limited. Mr. V. Ranganathan Iyer, Senior Executive Vice President IT and Group CIO at JBM Group. Kapil Mehrotra, Group CTO and CISO and Dhanuka Agritech. And Jitender Durayarajan, Head Cloud Engineering and Solutions at Sify Technologies. And Anitosh and Arvind, I request you to join us back again for this panel discussion.
I think all of us need to come on the video.
Yes, I believe all of us are now on the video. Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for giving us this opportunity to have this discussion with all of you. To get started, I would like to understand from the practitioners first and then come to... I think there is some noise in the background. So I would just request that only the person who is talking stays unmute. If the rest can stay on mute and unmute themselves when they are speaking. Great. So I would like to first go to the practitioners and understand from them, and then come to Anitosh, Arvind, and Jitender to comment on some of the observations that they have through this discussion. So, Mr. Iyer, let me come to you first. What we are seeing that most organizations today, including manufacturing, are adopting a hybrid cloud strategy. So how do they effectively modernize their core, including with migrating ERP to the cloud in a hybrid IT environment in order to maximize the business outcomes? And maybe you can talk about your journey here and what you're seeing in the industry.
Yeah, Namaste. Thanks for the opportunity. If you look into, I hope audio is very clear.
Yes,
There are within the JBM group, we have three sets of business which is available. One is digital native. The next set is digitally enabled people. The third one is digitally averse, because they find it very difficult to bring in changes digitally. So the potential is more on digitally averse kind of environment where you enjoy more challenges which is getting resolved. Having said that, it is I'm considering not only the ERP, we are talking about modernization of the manufacturing floor. More specifically, we wanted digital and AI interventions more onto visual analytics, which is going to help us in supplying the goods to customers more or less with zero defects. Over and above, we try to increase the efficiency of any of the M's material, man or machine. Having said that, the auto component division, which is basically, I should not say digitally ours, it is more difficult because we are a 40-year-old company where we have 60-year-old asset, which is providing bottom line. It is adding value to our bottom lines. Having said that, with the existing scenario, which is difficult in nature, with help of management and the kind of management focus on TIP. The TIP is nothing but technology, innovation, and people coexist together to make it more customer-friendly production environment. So if you look at it, we are very much focused, and we are as per, because Mr. MSI is also there in the discussion. The new plant which is coming is coming up at Karkoda. We are focusing on 100% digitization, which is going to help the tight integration with MSIL, so that we are adapting the digital to the core. So this is where we stand today.
Thank you, Mr. Iyer, for giving us an overview of your modernization strategy. And when you said modernizing the core, migrating ERP to cloud is one aspect, and there are a lot of other aspects that you spoke about. So I'll come back to you later to talk more about it. So Mr. Kausar Khan, if we can, I don't know if you can be back on the screen. Great, thank you so much. It'll be good to talk if you have a face to the screen. Similar thing that I want to ask you, which is about how you are working on modernizing the code within your organization, including migrating, looking at migrating ERP to the cloud in a hybrid IT environment. And how do you think organizations in general, effectively modernize their core in order to maximize the business outcomes?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. See, modernization is kind of a strategy, if we talk about from today's perspective. It's not just about, you can say, upgrading your hardware or software or anything. Actually, it should be driven from what is the business requirement, or what are the, you can say, business imperatives and needs, because of which you need to modernize your edge or core or any such thing. So I think there are few drivers which we should keep in mind, which can make it, you can say, more effective. And the first one is definitely driving from the perspective of, you can say, what is my business, you can say, requirement or the business use case, which should drive my modernization journey. And from there, you should strategize what exactly you need to modernize, where you need to modernize, and of course, why should come from the business need. So it has to be an evolving business need. See, one could be, it is like a changing market dynamics. So you need to modernize all your pieces, which can actually give you an edge towards that dynamism in the market place. The other could be like, I need much more, you can say, agility, flexibility in my overall operations. I need to improve the efficiency of my operations, so I need to modernize all those perspectives. someone can have just the, you can say, perspective of a customer engagement. So you need to make your strategies and modernize based on that particular aspect of the business need. uh, the other perspective or the driving force would be the legacy application. So how old is your legacy application? That also needs to be considered while you decide on the modernization effectiveness. So is the legacy application is going to stand there with you for durations, or you need to actually look into it. So excellence of the current, you can say, applications also becomes an important aspect while you strategize and decide.
So
Of
I
course, the
wanted to understand.
technological, sorry.
No, I wanted to understand. So in terms of migrating your ERP to the cloud, are you there on that journey, or is it something that which is in the pipeline, or have you already embarked on that journey?
See, that's what I told. See, it actually varies from organization to organization. For us, if you talk about the core ERP, from, you can say, modernizing, yes, we are into the journey of modernizing it to the SAP platform. But within that, where it should be, what is my need from that perspective is the key which needs to be considered while you define. That's what I was trying to communicate.
Absolutely, very well said. The understanding the business priorities and needs should drive the decision not only to modernize, but how to modernize the technology that will be plugged into that modernization.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So, Kapil, what is your take on modernizing the core, including migrating ERP to the cloud? How do you suggest organizations effectively modernize their core in a hybrid IT environment so that they can maximize the outcomes of that digital transformation journey, of that modernization journey?
Thank you, Shapra. For a long time, yeah, and everyone for giving me. I hope I'm audible.
Kapil, your voice is a little low. If you can,
Now it's okay. Now it's better.
it's better now. Yes.
All right. So, organization is a very, great term in terms of whenever it comes to this strategy. I mean, um, if I look at any manufacturing typical organization, people think about it, a lot of modernization is required, including ERP
Mr.
is one of
Kapil,
them.
sorry to interrupt. Request if you can be a little louder because we are not able to hear you.
Yeah, there's still a little.
कपिल सुनाई नहीं दे रहा.
अभी better है?
हाँ, पहले से बेटर है. थोड़ा
Okay.
ऊंचा बोल सकते हैं तो बोलिए.
All right. So, in typically manufacturing companies, modernization is too much required. I mean, there are so many pockets are there. If you look at any manufacturing industry, and if I look at my organization where I'm working, so there is a too much need, but journey is too long. I mean, you have to define a strategy, not in a one go. You have to basically pick up the pockets which can basically easily you achieve. Secondly, acceptance of any transformation in this journey is very difficult in such kind of industry. Desire is there, but acceptance is, very low. The reason is because people are very old and they believe in our old technology. And whenever it comes to the, ERP, and especially in the ERP from the, in-house to the cloud transformation, and then the strategy you have to define, you have to basically take all the organization together. It should not look like a ERP is a IT baby. So generally in a manufacturing industry, I have seen it, ERP goes and goes long and takes 2 years, 3 years. If you have a right strategy in place and you have a right strategy for the modernization and digitization in the organization, you can achieve very fast because every step they will basically give the result and people will accept and grow. Because the old, the legacy, what they are carrying it's not that easy to basically turn the table around. Try to understand what I'm saying is because uh, uh, I like to give a one other example, probably people can easily connect it. Let's say there is a supply chain workflow you want to basically mod, and which is taking 15 days time to get the raw material approval or maybe deliver it to the production. This workflow to identifying the vendor, identifying the material requirement, identifying to the given production unit and the warehouse where you have to store, a lot of key factors are involved. It means whenever I'm designing any kind of workflow in an ERP, I have to touch upon all these pockets. And touching upon these pockets, you are straight away jumping into a conclusion. Now, this is the process you have to follow. So people will lose the job or maybe increase the productivity. You have to be very clear what you are trying to achieve. Are you going to achieve the ROI after implementation of this? Or are you going to enhance the productivity of this? You should be very clear in this, defining the strategy and this modernization journey.
Kapil,
Whenever I speak,
sorry to cut you in between, but since we are very short on time, we can cover more aspects later. So, is there anything else you want to add here?
no, my only point is we have to very focused what we want to achieve it, and we have to be very, very, uh, careful whenever we are delivering anything in terms of digitization or modernization.
Right. So, Anitosh, Arvind, and Jitender, we've heard from the practitioners on aspects like what should be the drivers, what are the business drivers, what are the business priorities that should drive the modernization journey, including the ERP migration to cloud. But I would like to hear from all three of you on the technical aspect also. But before that, we have another poll going in. I request my colleague to post this poll, which is which aspect of edge modernization is most challenging for your organization? Is it integration with existing systems, ensuring data security and compliance, managing low latency requirements, or finding the right service provider? All those of you who haven't yet taken the poll, please take out time to do that because it's going to be up for a few more seconds before we close it. Anyone who hasn't taken the poll yet, you still have time to do it. You just have a single choice to make. It's not a multiple choice poll. So in case you haven't yet taken the poll, do it. I think we should be closing it anytime soon now. Okay, great. So we have ended the poll, and Anitosh, Arvind, Jitender, and the other panelists, I hope you get to see what organizations see as the biggest challenge in terms of edge modernization. Just want to understand from the CIOs who are already there in the panel, as it, do they kind of, do you kind of, agree with some of these poll results? What are these challenges? And therefore, what do you see are the key success factors when migrating ERP to the cloud? And how crucial is edge modernization for your manufacturing organizations? Mr. Ranganathan Iyer, I'm not sure if you got a chance to see the poll results, but you would like to go at this question.
The poll results, which has come 41%, it is evenly distributed. But when you are trying to deploy any new technology, when you are conceiving concept, when you are trying to do POC, normally no one tries to integrate the security part. Of late, we started doing that, but what is happening when you are always on the innovation mode, you will try to focus more on process, result, ROI, and TCO. We never try to focus on data or security. Although we say, because it is very difficult, let us take an example. We have EV bus which has got data. We don't know how to protect that data. Within bus, we have electronics, electrical, many things are there. We have done many innovations, we have everything, but if you go to the industry, we do not find any solution unless you create or develop a system which is homegrown or with a collaboration with third party. You have to develop a security, data security system to make it more data secured. So having said that, what I am trying to convey is during the innovation process, do what is required for the business to increase the customer satisfaction and naturally top line and bottom line. And before we go into mass, or maybe by the time we are getting the success of that product, incorporate security in the due course of time. It is very difficult to ensure data security when you are doing an invention. Innovation time, it is very difficult.
So data security is a key factor for you when migrating ERP to cloud. But do you also see that edge modernization is as critical as core modernization? And in really, let's say, getting the impact of core modernization, edge modernization is as important?
See, you are forced to, if you are trying to adapt digitization, many of the OEMs, as far in the ERP field, they are forcing all the customers to adapt cloud, because the way things are being enforced onto the customers, you do not have option of going for an on-prem solution. That is the fact today. All the players across are selling only product of cloud-based. Having said that, when you want to have a two-way kind of communication, for example, you want to control, you are sending data from floor to cloud, and there are certain instances where we need to take a decision based on the data collected. We have to take a decision and control the machine, or send the data back to from where we got. There we find the problem of a latency. That is the reason the evolving deployment of edges prominently increasing, which has to get integrated to the ERP. And subsequently, when we are trying to do IT, OT integration and then try to do something in cloud to embrace AI or ML kind of requirements incorporated, which is available only on cloud, we end up having the edge, which is predominantly important for us to take in-house requirements and then make use of a hybrid environment more effectively.
Thank you. So, Anitosh, the reason why I came to you, and I'm going to come to you, Arvind and Jitender, much later, was because I wanted to hear from some of the practitioners and also to see some of the poll results before you give and share your insights. My particular question to you, Anitosh, is that how critical is seamless connectivity to enable the innovations on cloud to effectively percolate to key areas of operations which function at the edge? And especially in manufacturing, we have warehousing and logistics which are functioning at the edge. And also, how does Sify support the extension of cloud innovations to edge operations, like I mentioned, warehousing and logistics? So if you can answer that in the light of some of the observations so far.
So my first observation is that I was a bit surprised in the second poll that 6% came for network services as a challenge. That is the first challenge. And exactly Mr. Iyer also mentioned, see, we can make any innovation, we can make cloud ready, but if there's latency and you're not getting a feasibility of connectivity, it will never work. So first and foremost is the core. And it is always taught in our engineering days of TCP IP layers, look at the physical layer first rather than going to the application layer and figure it out, right? So it is connectivity is the must, and that's where, if you look at the way we architect, Jitu's team who comes and helps us in architecting this edge solution, they first look at the network side of it, WAN side of it, not only from the connectivity and the feasibility point of view, how encrypted it can be, number one. Number two, how secured it can be, because there are certain compliances, especially in manufacturing, where the data part, now I'm coming to the data security point of view, which Mr. Iyer touched upon. The data part of it needs to be in plant and certain compliances for which it needs to be stored for certain time. Okay. So how that much of data can be stored at the same time the edgeline services of core can be enabled? That's the second part of it. So first is network. Second is the how the data is getting handled. Okay, that's very important. If these two foundations is correct, then the third part of it, again, Mr. Iyer mentioned, and also our panelist from Maruti, who said very clearly that it has to come out with a business outcome. And that was my slide, if you remember, on the second slide, where I was trying to tell that these are the use cases, but these are the enablers, right? While these are the use cases and enablers, see, today, if I go back to the core answers that all of us was talking about, going back to the SAP or the ERP modernization point of view, it happens only in three aspects. One, if I look at it only as a database as an upgrade, okay, that can be a lift and shift. That's not a transformation, just upgrading yourself, right? Second aspect is that if I bring the functional modules where the business comes into the picture with the technology, right? Where I make my supply chain management smart, I make my shop floor smarter, right? And there the automation start hitting. It is not about IT automation, it is also the business automation which comes into picture, right? And the third wave, which is the most important wave today, have to look at that. What are the digital initiatives I'm going to take? Why SAP being an organization who stopped HANA Enterprise Cloud and moved to a RISE model? Because Leonardo, which is the digital platform for them, that was not kicking in. It's part of the HANA Enterprise, gamut, right? So they came out with this RISE where they are talking that end to end, it is kind of a services model, but there they can give the digital use cases. Okay, so it's very imperative that we need to understand from a service provider point of view and the client's point of view from manufacturing, first, in which of these three we are in a ERP modernization, correct? So coming back and ending this point of view with two basic points, that one, basic foundation of data and network architecture on the edge, if it is not clearly architected, it cannot be innovated. That's number one. Number two, on the core modernization, it has to be linked with the outcome. Is it on digitization, or it is an upgrade, or it is IT to business functional modules? What do we want to reach? These are the two imperatives we have to understand jointly. Basis that the solution will be built. Jitu, you want to add something on this?
Yeah, pretty much. Anitosh, you covered. As we see, the score is on network latency. Oh, but the reality, yeah. So without network, whatever modernization, what we're trying to do, it has become quite a big challenge. And our mode of edge, right? Our Sify brings the core of network competency and the span across the India for the last mile connectivity with the various network technology with SD-WAN, all those things. Be able to achieve a lot of the edge cloud or edge parts, which is integrated. As Ranganath Iyer highlighted, the world is moving digitized, and we cannot able to disconnect it. Today, whatever we do manufacture, the most of the manufacturing unit today, it is our span across very remote, not in the complete facility like cities and availability of those things, those areas, right? But at the same time, we cannot able to disconnect it from the point of modernization edge. And I also wanted to second what Kapil has said, you should be very first is focus and as well as be careful. Don't try to jump into every modernization you want to adapt. Pick and choose so that you can able to succeed what you exactly want to do. I hope all of you are influenced what it can able to bring the need of the edge and then how we can able to take it forward. Sify's core strength is multiple fold. One is our edge data centers. Beyond our core data centers on the cities, and we have a lot of POPs across 40,000 POPs, what we span across India. From there to the respective last mile, we give very, very low latency connectivity for to modernize. And Sify builds the multi-cloud platform. Today, other than which is mandate for you to edge, it is a manufacturing or for the other vertical like healthcare. We see there are remote located and they are very sensitive in nature, where the core setup should be closest to the edge because of the need of latency, and the rest of the data can able to move to the centralized cloud. So though it is a split between two different landscape, this Sify multi-cloud can able to give you a one plane class for you to manage the entire show. So the connectivity and then the edge data center and then the centralized view modernized to your platform. And other than the sensitive low network which is connected to your manufacturing unit, rest all the data you can able to move it. And then of course Microsoft has come with a lot of innovative thoughts with the autopilot and various factor which you can able to leverage so that you can able to automate, you can able to be a more predictive, and you also be more proactive for overall, and it became more of a error free the entire show.
Thanks, Jitender. Arvind, from a cloud provider's perspective, first of all, I mean, are you surprised by the poll results, or they are in line with what you are thinking? Also, if you can tell us how Azure supports the seamless integration of cloud and edge operations for real-time data processing in manufacturing, something that we have been talking about so far. And what unique features or services does Azure provide to ensure that robust and efficient data handling at the edge?
Surely. Great. So, Shipra, broadly in alignment with the poll results, wherein it said that security, compliance, and latency are the primary considerations. Now, we understand this based on our experience, and we provide a portfolio of services. I'm just going to take 2 minutes to talk about it. One is from an Azure perspective, we provide the Azure Stack Edge, which is basically an edge device which has pre-built compute, memory, and storage at the edge. The key benefits are that I can do high-level computation, HPC at the edge. I can run my machine learning models at the edge. It has security inbuilt into it. Primarily, it is a hardware as a service, wherein any new services that come in, it gets updated automatically. And this is connected with the Azure services onto the cloud. So you bring in this box, you keep it in your shop floor, you run your operations as you want on a regular basis, and it will provide you the necessary latency to ensure that your business operations do not get disconnected. And then the data from this particular device gets synced up with the cloud operations. You can define the particular frequency once in a month or whatever, so that you get the ability of flexibility of scaling as well as compliance as well as security with an absolute low latency. The second point you mentioned was in terms of what are some of the other services that we bring onto the table. So I just want to kind of talk about the Windows Copilot, or I would call it as Copilot, laptop Copilot, wherein today Microsoft is ensuring that the basic humble laptop or the desktop based on the Intel architecture that we use is enabled with AI intelligence, is enabled with the capabilities to run a high-end GPU. These devices will be launched in the next 3 to 4 months, wherein I get a laptop, it's as good as the GPU running, and I can keep it anywhere within my shop floor for collecting my IoT information, for processing these IoT data, be it predictive maintenance or quality control, and get the necessary, I would say, operations done, ensuring business continuity and disaster recovery. So broadly, with these two services, Microsoft is providing a full stack of services for organizations to leverage this and carry on with their seamless services. There is a ton of more other products. For the sake of time, I may not be able to cover it, but please look into Microsoft hybrid IT components and you will get a list of that.
Thanks, Arvind. And before I go back to the practitioners, once again, we have another poll. Can I please have the third poll question on the screen? This is, what are the primary drivers for your organization to extend innovation from cloud to edge? Is it improved operational efficiency? Is it real-time data processing, or enhanced security, or AI and machine learning capabilities? Like I said, there is no right and wrong answer. It's what are the primary drivers for your organization, and the primary driver for each organization will be different. So think from the perspective of your organization and its business priorities. We still have a few seconds left. So anyone who hasn't yet taken the poll, it's time to do it now before we close it. Okay, so we have closed the poll and here are the results. Improved operational efficiency is the most important driver, followed by real-time data processing.
I think the first and second point is more or less interrelated.
Right. So that makes up almost like bulk of the
68.
primary driver.
68.
Yes. Kauser, I want to ask this question. One is that, of course, when we are speaking about cloud to edge modernization. Okay, I thought there was some.
Glitch.
So when you're talking of cloud to edge modernization for organizations, how can a seamless cloud to edge strategy unlock the hybrid IT potential? Do you think having a cloud to edge strategy is critical?
Yeah, Shikha, it is critical, and to unlock the real potential, I think what is important is the transformation of the thought process, and that's very practical, which I'm saying. See, generally we get into like adoption of the technologies or something, but what is the mindset of the people when we are looking this kind of, you can say, modernizations or migration to cloud. And another aspect is mandate from the top, that whatever is available as an standards, it needs to be, you can say, adopted. Because if we start tweaking into those standards and making it your own custom and tailored thing, then you will not be able to actually unleash and get the benefit or the potential that particular, you can say, migration or strategy or whatever you are thinking of. So these two things are, I think, important transformation of the people in terms of adoption to the standards, and it needs to be driven from the top. So, and the mandate from the top management to look into it. So within this, a lot of things that gets covered into in terms of the business processes. You should look for that standardization. Your design should be such that you are able to sustain it for a longer period of time. See, it's like in a room you can change your, you can say, wallpaper or something, but you can't change the room itself. I think that kind of thought process, then adoption, these are things which becomes important from my thought process.
I have a point to make, Shipra, may I?
Yeah, please.
I think the very important aspect which is coming out, sir, if you can be on mute.
Please.
So the very important fact, is it me or I don't know? Is it audible now? Yeah.
Yeah, it's audible, because even when I was speaking, I think there was some disturbance. Now it's fine.
Coming back to the point, what Mr. Khan said, basically, see, that is exactly the issue. If we and Arvind basically presented that point, if we make that business process automated with the co-pilots or the AI/ML enabled process automation, correct? Our dependency on manual intervention and training, that particular cycle of adapting something new basically goes out. Okay. So when we are designing for any modernization point of view, that aspect of not only the technical architecture, what are the automation areas we can bring. I think that is the beauty of Microsoft solutions today, which is just not a technology of services or cloud consumption, but also the AI ML platform that brings. And that's where we wrap as a service provider with them and help in architecting the right design to deploy and migrate, and at the same time bring the automation from the process point of view so that the manual intervention is less and it can be adopted faster, right? So this is the point I just wanted to make, and that's where the synergy is. And that's what we are basically trying to solve together. Arvind, you want to touch upon certain things on that? Or Jitu?
Yeah, you pretty much covered, Anitosh.
Yeah.
Nothing from my side.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
Great. So again, Kauser, if I have just one more question, how important, and I wouldn't go to ask all the practitioners before I wrap up, I want to ask all the practitioners, how important is the role of a service provider? What is that the make or break for this kind of a journey? And what would be the key considerations when selecting a service provider for modernization of core and edge within the hybrid IT environment? So, Kapil, you want to take a go at it first?
Yeah, whenever we are talking about any edge computing, so you have to think about two things: is who is the end user for you are talking, the retailer or anything what you're thinking for, let's say, autonomous kind of. Because I always keep two aspects in my mind. It may be end users or maybe some kind of automatic process learning. Secondly, to make all these things successful, it's a journey and where you have to create the center of excellence. Why the center of excellence is important? Because when we talk for the data, because you have to collect a lot of data from the here and there, then you have to plug in that data and you build some kind of model to make it success. And that's what like Arvind was mentioning and the Ashutosh was mentioning. They have a co-pilot practices coming in the picture. So that's what is the one of the strategy you have to always keep in the mind. And another thing what I have to advise is that is very important, cross-function. Not only you, because to make anything successful, etc. This is my last point what I want to mention, that cross-function is very, very essential because you can get the data in, but when you give any output and you build the model, you build the logic, and you are offering something to the end user, which are sitting on the edge, and if it is not useful for them, it will be a setback. So whenever you are designing an ecosystem, you have to always keep these things in mind. Over to you, Sify.
Mr. Iyer, what, according to you, should be the key considerations when selecting a service provider? And why is it critical to evaluate their capabilities around connectivity, security, and managed services?
There is no ready-made answer available. It all depends on what kind of deployment you are doing. If you are in the innovation mode, what you have to do is you have to consume or identify some of the startups or maybe some of the big players like Sify or maybe IBM or whoever has that capability. It doesn't mean that we will not create capability in-house. The kind of model what we do when we do innovation, which is unpredictable, or when we are not in a position to bring in certain kind of decisions. For example, when we were trying to do a video analytics solution, when we were designing, we are not sure what kind of GPU is required, how much is required. So we co-created with AWS, and then we found a solution for that. During that process, what we did for making the first product, for first thing we co-created, subsequently we have that to get deployed in 70 different plants. When you are trying to do that, you do not have scale, or you do not have people to get the scale done. So different kinds, set of people are required to go to the much bigger scale to achieve. There also we used, and there are certain instances when we do develop some products, and we know that it is going to be used. During that time, we create in-house capability. When we are doing the first deployment, we ensure we identify right kind of resources and they are getting trained, so that it is subsequently deployed across different. So it all depends on what kind of. So it is not possible for anybody to do everything in-house. It is very difficult to outsource everything to outside. So we will bring a balance depending upon what kind of solution we are designing and going to deploy it, how it is going to happen. So that is a strategy which we use. So it is inevitable to use in-house capability, create in-house capability. Alongside, you have to ensure that you are using the ecosystem for scaling it fast or innovating it fast.
So the right balance is important. Since we are running out of time, I would request the other panelists to keep it very short and brief. So Kauser, I want to take your view on the right service, choosing the right service provider, any criteria that you keep in mind. The top 3 criteria, let's say.
Okay. So very, very quickly, and I just extended what Mr. Iyer said. See, you cannot build all these skills that is required for any such, you can say, studies. It is always good to go for buying also, which is basically nothing but the service provider. And in very short, I'm just saying, there are certain, you can say, basic hygiene or basic minimum that is expected from every service provider, be it security, managed services, optimization, flexibility. I think only one thought I would like to share here. What we need to, as an you can say, company, we need to actually see and try to evaluate whether my service provider is able to grow with me as per my, you can say, strategies and roadmap. I think that should be the first consideration while you select the service provider or who's the right service provider. I think this aspect is important, that he should be able to travel in our journey of the modernization or moving to or migration. That's what I can quickly tell you.
Thank you. So before we wrap up, I have one question each for Arvind and Jitender. Arvind, first of all, what kind of innovations is Azure planning in the realm of cloud to edge strategies for the manufacturing sector? And what advancements in AI and edge computing can manufacturing companies expect from Azure in the near future?
Surely, from a innovation perspective, as I said, every organization today has the ability to reimagine every aspect of their operation, and particularly from a manufacturing perspective, wherein it's a fairly large ecosystem, right, from suppliers, distributors, OEMs, and everyone leveraging many of these AI services. You could reimagine every part of your business. The second is, again, in terms of leveraging many of these hybrid services, we are looking at a scenario wherein, based on a simple handheld device or a simple laptop, that would have the capabilities to kind of run intense workloads. So today we are seeing a scenario wherein, SAP, of course, is many of the organizations have been using SAP, and as Mr. I think Iyer said, there is a mandate for everybody to move to the cloud. But when you move to the cloud, there is a ton of flexibility that you get, which can result in significant business processes. So in terms of innovations, I would say services built on the AI stack, which works across all aspects of your productivity, right? From Word, Excel, PowerPoint, how can I leverage this? And of course, the hybrid IT services, which can touch all of our applications and operations at multiple scales, at multiple locations.
Right. Jitender, you already spoke about the integrated solutions that Sify offers around low latency compliance and other aspects. So can you tell us briefly about how does Sify's managed services harness AI to improve manufacturing operations? And if you can also tell us a little bit about efficient data analytics at the edge.
Sure, definitely. As you know, the world is moving from the traditional OS to the precisely containers, right? And then there's a further advanced stage is called the micro OSs. Even in container, there's a micro OSs with leverage for most of the IoT are the edge as thin as you can able to run your operation from your remote. And when you run with a micro OSs, you can the most of the data processing happen to the cloud, right? And Sify is building their own micro OSs to deploy this platform. It can be a simple Raspberry Pi or a common chip platform, as thin as small as the device we can able to deploy it IoT attached to any of the manufacturing equipment to do the basic analysis process, and rest of the data comes to the cloud. And we created the AI/ML solutions, and we created our own RPA for us to do the processing of those data, and can able to give you a lot of security controls of those data which is transferred to the cloud, as well as the predictive, as I talked about, the predictive and data analytical with Sify's own IP, which we have developed for us to do the data processing, can able to give you assurance for more on the human error free or the preventive before it get fault. The many other things probably we can, the interest of time, we can able to showcase our capability around. As we also talked about the FSO, what Anitosh said, not only the IoT applications or the edge applications or the ERP kind of stuff, the end-to-end circle of the connectivity, edge data center, devices, the FSO, which can able to bring you a holistic 360-degree picture for you, how it is all connected, how secured, and what is the predictive we can able to bring it before it fails or before it can able to upscale. So we bring a lot of new things on with the FSO, what we build, Sify's own product, I could say.
Great. Thank you so much. I think we can, there's a lot of endless aspects to talk about on this particular topic, but in the interest of time, we will have to wrap up here the panel discussion, but the subject matter experts are available post this session. We'll take up a few questions, but they're also available offline. So you can feel free to reach out to them for any further questions that you would have. A big round of applause for our panelists. And I thank you, all the panelists, wholeheartedly for taking part in this session and sharing your wonderful insights. Before we get on to the Q&A session, we have one more poll to go. And then after that, we are going to do the Q&A, and the last poll is, can we have the last poll on the screen, which is the key factors in choosing a service provider for cloud to edge integration. We heard that from our three practitioners here on the panel, but we would like to hear from all of you what, according to you, are the key factors. While it says what are the key factors, I think the question should rather be what is the most critical factor, because all of them would be key factors. But what, according to you, is the most critical factor in choosing a service provider out of these four choices?
If somebody from procurement is there, he will put the fourth one.
So let's see if we get the fourth one as the most critical choice. I think just a few more seconds left. So anyone who hasn't
We
taken
will end the poll now.
Yes, please do that. Anitosh, you were wrong. Cost effectiveness is not the most critical
This also
choice.
in India is now going wrong, no? So don't worry.
So I think, was it Anitosh who said
Yeah,
cost
yeah.
effectiveness?
I said,
Yeah. But
if
you're happy to
somebody
be
from
proven
procurement,
wrong.
my point was if somebody from procurement is there, they will be. Any which is
Yeah.
executive is going wrong in India.
But it's good to hear that. It's
Yeah.
good to hear that cost effectiveness is not, but security and compliance and managed services offerings are the
But
top.
again, I am a bit surprised again that cost effectiveness is 15%, whereas connectivity solution is 10%. I still
Oh.
believe connectivity solution is the foundation.
Yeah. So I think that's something that, perhaps you could connect later on and kind of create more awareness about how connectivity solutions are also very important. So let's wrap it up with the Q&A session. We don't have time to take much of the questions, but whatever time we have, we will try to incorporate at least 2 to 3 questions here. So we have first question, which is how do you ensure data security of cloud-based system servers when systems are working remotely with any kind of ransomware or malware attacks from hackers? So very security-focused question. Anitosh, Jitender, or Arvind, any one of you wants to take that?
Even Arvind should take it because Jitu is absolutely doing that day in, day out, and Arvind, obviously, cloud service provider, will give the right insight. Jitu, please go ahead.
Yeah, so most of the edge devices today are TPM certified, right from the server provider, as well as as I talked about, the various OS, either it is a micro OS or it is the containers, or the traditional OS, they're all certified today. Both your edge as well as the transit of data from the edge to the cloud. It's all encrypted. We have various security portfolio as well as the certified hardware where nobody can able to, even in the plant, somebody wanted to tamper a data, it's not feasible today. I hope the security components are matured than what we have in earlier time.
Arvind, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, security in today's times is a critical thing, and particularly in India, considering that we passed the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill last year, that makes it, I would say, mandatory for organizations to put in specific safeguards. So starting from data governance, how do I mask my data? How do I kind of provide the right level of access, role-based access controls, to encryptions of keys, to building data catalogs, primarily understanding how my data estate, what is lying, where is it lying, who has access. Microsoft provides a broad set of tools which work both at the edge as well as the cloud, as well as across multiple SaaS providers. Leveraging these services, you get a unified view of your data estate, and you could build in the right policies to take advantage of it. So this is across, it's called Microsoft Purview, and also available as a part of the Microsoft 365 portfolio of services.
Great. The second question is, how do you migrate customers' big data infrastructure to hybrid cloud with modernizing GenAI and IoT solutions without any increase in infrastructure or service costs to companies that are migrating to the cloud?
GenAI, if you take over, there is no increase in cost. It is an increase of models. So you build the right models, data models, you ask the question, it is the same resources that it will fetch the data and give it. So there is no question of that. Migration of, and again, when we talk about data going into cloud migration, it has to be looked in 3 aspects. First aspect is that storage point of view, that the data lake or the EDW where we are trying to migrate it. Is it on a data warehouse point of view? Is it a backup data? So what kind of data are we talking about, right? It is more to do with compliance to bring business outcomes. So very importantly, the first point comes is that what is we are going to build on cloud for the data, right? Second is the sources of data. It can be across any database for the sources which will be pulling. How efficient is we are making it, and how our migration strategy for each of the sources. Third point is that what is the visualization layer? See, before we go to the generative AI and ask those models and questions and get our answers, the visualization layer where the dashboard will throw some insights, basis which we will bring the models through the generative AI and picture, right? So these 3-4 aspects we have to keep in mind while building the migration strategy. That is where you link the migration with an outcome towards the business. Jitu, anything that you want to add?
Yeah, as you highlighted, the data processing at edge or at the cloud, right? We know there is a pain point, egress traffic in the hyperscale cloud, precisely. Any cloud, probably Arvind might be cussing me, but I'm talking on behalf of the customer side. But the maturity of these software stack, right, for data analytics, where the security component, if you take it, right, even though I have a SIM, if I deployed a marketplace firewall or marketplace component, I wanted to bring I don't need to bring the entire data back to my SIM if I hosted as a hybrid one, because if I have adapted multi-cloud or a hybrid in nature, my SIM can be sitting in one data center. I need to pull all the data, right? The processing happen at the remote, either it's the edge or in the cloud. We only takes the criticality of the data, what exactly we need it at the event or alert. So like that, there are various data analytical platform. It is up to us to design how we can able to, which data we wanted to bring it to which platform, so that you can able to optimize without spending much cost on those data, traffic moving in here and there, and then the various compressions and those technologies as came today because will are known for these compressions and then dedupe as well. So you can able to optimize. We can talk about this offline. We can able to give you the appropriate solution if you have a plan to do this data migrations to the cloud or to hybrid in nature.
So in the interest of time, I think we have bandwidth to take just one more question. And the question is, what is the effect of edge computing on? And besides the subject matter experts, I would also, if any of the practitioners or CIOs here in the panel want to answer it, I would look forward to it. So first, who wants to take a go at it? What is the effect of edge computing on cloud computing?
I'm a bit caught
Sure.
in. It's a
You
very
can get started,
tricky
yes.
question. It's a very tricky question. For me, edge computing is also a cloud computing, if it is a cloud model.
Yes,
Okay.
I will try to address this. See,
Yeah,
it all
fair.
depends on what use case you have. When you have two-way, if you are going to have a two-way communication required, the data is not going from one side to another. Data is going to travel from one side to another, and some decisions which are being taken at the place, it has to come back and take control or control the machine or any other processes which is happening. If you want to do that, edge is very important, because some of the decisions which we wanted to take in milliseconds cannot happen in cloud. It will take 1 or 2 or 5, 10 milliseconds. By that time, the decision which we wanted to control the machine. For example, if I say that when my MES is giving instruction to the nut runner, if a nut runner should do certain work, and when it is actually completing the job, the machine should stop. This is not possible if you are connecting with cloud. When we have edge can immediately take the feedback whether it has done the job right or not. If it has completed, it will take the feedback at what time it is completed, and then register what is required, and then give instruction to the machine, go for the next process to happen. So edge is not cloud. Edge is on-prem solution, which has some of the cloud related capabilities are part of it. So you cannot have the whole cloud available on the edge. So it's a stopgap kind of arrangement where solutions are not possible in cloud. To make it more meaningful, this technology has emerged, and it is going to stay for future.
Any comments, Anitosh, from you, Arvind or Jitender, and then we can close.
Not from my side. I think Mr. Ayan made it very easy and simple, and that's where we discussed this hybrid IT which Jitu was trying to tell. It cannot be entirely on cloud. At the same time, the impact is also there.
Right. So we have had Charudatta Kulkarni who's raised her hand. It's been quite some time, so maybe we can just, Charudatta, you can ask your question if you have any. Charudatta, are you able to, we have given you the permission to unmute if you can ask your question. Okay, I don't think. Okay, so it was by mistake. There was no question. Ratish, I believe you have any question, or we will then wrap it up. I think no question from Ratish as well. So we have a lot of questions in the Q&A section as well as in chat. I would request Anitosh, you, Jitender, and Arvind to perhaps go through these questions later on and try to answer them
We'll respond. We'll respond.
and get across to the people, to the participants who ask these questions. Thank you so much, everyone. I haven't had a webinar that has gone on for so long. I don't know whether it is good or bad. I'm assuming it's good because we have had participants staying with us for so long, and there were numerous questions. I think there were upwards of 10, 15 questions. We could take only 3. But we could have gone on, and with 6 panelists in the session, and with so much insights to share, I'm sure this time was well spent. So thank you so much for being a part of this insightful webinar. I'm particularly thankful to all our panelists, Mr. Iyer, Mr. Khan, and Mr. Mehrotra, and of course, Anitosh, Arvind, and Jitender. Thank you
We are
so much
also
for your
thankful to
time.
you. You made
And a big thank you to all our participants. Your engagement and participation made it a valuable experience, and your poll participation gave us a lot of good insights. We appreciate your time and contributions. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
And
Bye.
also, we have a feedback form to fill up. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah, we request everyone, we have posted the link of the feedback form on the chat. So please do fill up the feedback form. It's a short survey, and this will be very helpful to all of us.
Shipra, before signing off, thanks to you. I think
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jitu. Thanks, everyone.
So anyone who hasn't filled up the feedback form, please do that. And in case you are having any issue with accessing the form or the link, do let us know. Just want to check with my team. I hope the feedback form, we are not having issues and everybody is able to open them.
Yes, everybody should be able to open it, and also when they exit the webinar, they will be able to view it in their browser.
Okay. So also when you will log out, before you log out, you will have the feedback form on your screen, and do fill it up. Your feedback is very important to us. And thank you so much for taking out long time for this webinar. Good evening and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.